Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back. Today is match day. Today is match day. Today is not just match day. Today is the day where we will finally, as Chelsea fans, we will finally have our voices heard. We will finally be able to have what we think is our say. 6 p.m. Bovril Gate. The protest will be happening against these sporting directors, against these owners as well. Not just the sporting directors, but against the owners. Now, before we get into the video, before we get into the live, as always, please make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, you leave your thoughts in the comments, all of those good things for us. But this is the day, this is D-Day. This is the day when Chelsea fans will have their opportunity to speak on these owners because, as you know, things have not been rosy at Chelsea. But we have to be honest. We have to be honest. And I know there's fans that are still unsure, on the fence. They still sitting in, fifth or sixth place and they think things are okay. We still might make top four. This is a bigger picture than just this season. And one of the things we need to talk about as well, we need to make sure that the Chelsea fans that are going down, or anyone, it doesn't have to be Chelsea fans, it could be anyone, but anyone who's going to the protests, make sure you're peaceful with your protest. And I said it yesterday in the podcast, but I'm saying it again today. Make sure that the protests that you do are peaceful, because what we don't want to do is we don't want negativity to be the thing that people remember from these protests. We really don't. We need the protest to be meaningful, impactful, and to try and get the message across to these owners. There has to be a clear message. There has to be a clear objective of the protest. If it starts getting to the point where, we're being stupid down there, it's never going to work. And I'm going to keep repeating what I keep saying on here all the time. We cannot protest and walk through the gates of Stamford Bridge. We just can't. Now I'm going to head down, I'm going to protest, I'm going to head straight back up north. That's how much it means to me. I can't go through the gates of Stamford Bridge right now. I can't protest and then go through the gates of Stamford Bridge. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense because, and this is me talking. This isn't anyone who else who's affiliated with the channel or other Chelsea fans that I know. But if you're serious about this and you really want to see change at Chelsea Football Club, and you only have to go and look at Manchester United and Ianos and the Glazers, they're making redundancies left, right, and centre. They're a club that's on its arse, is ready to fold. And I said a couple of weeks ago on here that this is literally where we are. We're at the starting point of this journey of ownership takeover. The Glazers have been in charge for how long at Manchester United, and they're still in charge now. Don't think because Ianos is the new face of Manchester United that the Glazers are still not calling those shots at Old Trafford. Now, we will be in that situation. We will be. We'll be in that situation in 5, maybe 6 years from now. But we'll be in that situation where we're talking about these same owners who've bled the club dry, and we're talking about having to sell off certain assets that they currently occupy at Chelsea Football Club. There's a reason why they've divided and split down all the hotels, the women's team, everything. If you look at how Chelsea currently is structured, the model of Chelsea from a business perspective is split down. You will see how things have been broken down brick by brick at the club. And that reason for that is because eventually they can then sell off certain parts of Chelsea Football Club to other companies, bit by bit. And that's going to happen. That is going to happen. That's the only reason why you would split down a football club in the way that the club is currently split down and the way that the club is currently structured to be. There's no other reason for any reason for that to happen. There's no reason for the club to have to sell hotels that are owned by Chelsea Football Club to their sister company. There's no reason other than eventually what you're going to need to do is to split down and sell off some of your assets at some point. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. These protests are not just about results on the pitch. I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. These results are not about the results on the pitch. It's not about individual team players. It's not about Enzo Maresca. It's a lot bigger than that. The picture that we're talking about is more on a grander, bigger, and a more larger scale. This isn't just about the current team. This is about a club that was well run, well organized, was functioning very well before the sanctions were put in place. This is a team that was able to win Premier League trophies, Champions League trophies, Europa League trophies. This is a team that done all of those things. And at some points, the owner wasn't even in the ground. He wasn't allowed in the country, and we still managed to function better than we do now with two sporting directors at the club. This is not about the results. This is not about us coming out the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. This is not about us missing out on Champions League football. This is a massive thing for this football club. And I don't think maybe in a couple of months when the penny drops for some fans as well, that we'll see maybe next season, maybe the season after that. But for a club that has been ran as the way it's been ran for the last 3 years, I'm trying to think if has there been any season that these owners have been in charge that we've actually had a front of shirt sponsor agreed and our kit has come out at a usual time of the season. It's 25th of February. We still don't have a front of shirt sponsor. There's still no communication from Todd Bowley about Vivid Seats. A lot of these things are things that you've just got to wake up and realize they're happening in 4K. They really are. The owners are taking this club down the river. They're trying to sell assets out of the club. They're taking out loans. Bank of America, JP Morgan, the loans are there. I mean, all this information I'm talking about is there. It's on the internet. It's free. It's there. You can go and check it yourself. They're taking money out of the club. And what they're doing is they're using the Brighton model. Brighton's model works for Brighton because Brighton are never going to win the Premier League. They're not built and designed to win Premier League trophies or Champions League trophies or even get into the Champions League. Their model has always been a success because what they do is they go and recruit certain players, and Moises Caicedo, Enciso, Evan Ferguson. They go and recruit those sort of players. Alexis McAllister. They bring those players to the club for a fraction of the price that they sold them on for. That is their model. Now, the owners have never shied away from that. The owners have never said that they're not going to follow that model. That's the model that they came here to do. They came here to follow Brighton's model. They went and got half the recruitment staff and the backroom staff at Brighton, brought them in and brought Graham Potter with them. They've never been shy about the fact that this is the model that they want and this is the model that they want to follow. So for me personally, I can't understand for the life of me why we went down that road based on what we had already. Let's backtrack. We had a clear vision, a clear project. We knew what kind of players, the profile of players that we wanted to bring in. All of that was there. We had it there. It was there. I said at the time, I remember saying it, shout out James Helder. I was on his podcast at the time when I said this, but I said that in any business, if there's a takeover, you can't just get rid of everything that the club stood for or the business stood for. There has to be a clear transitional process between one set of staff, people that are involved at the club, and you transition it over to the people that you want to take over. We didn't even do that. If you remember, at one point, Todd Bowley was acting as sporting director at the club, flying here, there, and everywhere. So we allowed all these people, the Marina Granovskayas, Petr Cechs, and everyone else to leave the club. Bruce Buck, everyone left the club, and we recruited and appointed all these people. And we were at that point, we was already trying to bring players into the club. We was already trying to bring players into the club without a sporting director, and Todd Bowley was trying to act as that. He was asking Thomas Tuchel to help him at the time, if you remember, and that's what the initial issues were, bumping heads together, was all about. Because Thomas Tuchel just wanted to focus on football and winning matches and tactics and training. And that's his job. His job should not be to go and identify, literally go and have these discussions with every single transfer target. That's not his job. Now, had you kept in the previous regime or the previous structure of our staff, our board members, our structure at the club, there's nothing to say that you couldn't keep Marina Granovskaya and the rest of them. And then you bring in your Paul Winstanleys or your Lawrence Stewarts or whoever you wanted to bring in. There's nothing to say you can't do that, because you can. But that transitional period was so crucial in 2022. That was so crucial, because what's happened is we've gone from one model, which I feel was the better model, it worked for us, and we've gone for this new model, which is go and get the young players in, get rid of all the high earners at the club. Which again, I'm not fully against that, but you still need to have some leaders in the team. You still need a spine, and you still need a structure. And we haven't done any of those things. We got rid of everything that was working well, and we replaced it with things that we were not sure of. They weren't tried and tested. The model wasn't tried and tested. A lot of these people that have come in, Egbali, Todd Bowley, they're not football business. They're not football savvy. They don't understand. They understand business, but in terms of football, they clearly don't understand it. And they got rid of everyone that was there at the club before, that understood the club, understood the history, the DNA of the club. And they got rid of all of that and just brought in statisticians, data analysts, all the things that, yes, you need at a football club, but you also need to be able to bring in gradually the people that you want to bring into a football club. So getting rid of everything that was there before, it just was never going to work. It was never going to work. And here we are 3 years down the line, still no front of shirt sponsor. We spent £1.6 billion on transfers. And whenever I speak to Chelsea fans, they always tell me we need a goalkeeper, we need a striker, we need another 6, we need a leader at the back, a centre back. And we don't have any of those things. And if anyone can tell me and explain to me how that equates to spending £1.6 billion on transfers, we don't even look like a team that's ready to go into the Champions. I mean, we're all screaming we want to be in the Champions League, but would you honestly trust this team to go into the Champions League and beat Real Madrid, beat Atletico, beat Bayern Munich? I think we might struggle against Copenhagen next week. And that's not even me taking the piss. I generally think we will struggle against Copenhagen. We could struggle tonight against Southampton. This is not a team that is ready to compete in the Champions League. And this is why the protests are so important, because we're not saying to the owners, change the model. But you have to run the football club in a way that's more results driven than just making money at the club. No one goes into business to lose money. And I don't think any Chelsea fan is naive to the fact that the owners want to make some money at the football club. That's a given in business. You're going to want to make money. That's the ultimate goal, is to make as much money as possible. But whilst you're doing that, you have to reinvest some of that money into the club. You just have to. That just blows my mind to think that we're going to go and spend 20 million on this 18-year-old, 15 million on that 18-year-old, and you're not addressing any of the issues on the current squad, the current pitch. The results are masking over the league position that we're in at the moment, especially if we win tonight against Southampton. That is masking over so many problems, and I think that's kind of clouding the judgment of Chelsea fans as well. I think had we been where Manchester United are now, I reckon these protests would be a lot more vocal, and we'd be seeing a lot more people wanting to protest. I think the fact that we're still in contention for the Champions League, the fact that Maresca had a really good start to the season and we were second in December, I think it's kind of derailed people's ideas of what's happening behind the scenes at the football club. The fact that we still need so much at this football club and we've spent so much money is for me is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. It's criminal. I don't know how we can not see what's in front of us. We really have to, honestly, we have to look at what's happening in front of us. This isn't about Maresca. We could sack Maresca tomorrow and these issues are still here. We could get rid of Badiashile, Sancho, Madueke. We could get rid of the players we don't think are good enough. But until the owners address the things that they need to address properly, it doesn't even matter about the squad anymore. There has to be a better way of running Chelsea Football Club. Because what's going to happen eventually, you're seeing it already. You're seeing Brighton and Bournemouth and Villa and Nottingham Forest. Their recruitment's been really well. Newcastle, their recruitment, okay, some of it's a bit hit and miss, but you're looking at even like Alexander Isak and they've recruited really well. They've recruited really well. In January, Aston Villa bought in Marcus Rashford and Asensio. We recalled Trevor Chalobah. This club cannot afford to be in the Champions League. But what they haven't done is set the team up to go and compete in the Champions League. They just haven't set the club up well. So for me personally, these protests for me on an individual, from my perspective, is to make sure that we have the correct sporting director. And I use the word director because I don't think we need two. I think we need one competent sporting director. We need one. We don't need two. You don't need two people to do one man's job or one person's job. You need one sporting director. You just need one. Blue coat is a massive issue at this football club. It's an absolute massive issue. And until people sit up and wake up and realize that the club is being not just mismanaged on the pitch in terms of the results, in terms of potentially what Maresca's been told he has to achieve or whatever. I mean, it doesn't even sound like he understands his objectives this season. 1 minute it's top four, the next minute the owners are saying he doesn't need to get top four. Which one is it? It's got to be a clear mandate for the manager. And this is why I feel like managers have failed in the past. Potter, Pochettino. I feel like they've all failed because the messaging at the top is not clear. The vision at the top is not clear. The recruitment's not been clear. It just hasn't been clear. And you feel like some of these players that we're bringing in, they're not the players that the manager wants in. I wouldn't say that maybe Pedro Neto was what Maresca wanted or needed. João Felix was clearly here because Conor Gallagher needed to get off the books. We needed a pure profit for him. Trevor Chalobah's been recalled because I feel like we need to play him at the club. He was obviously desperate times as well. We needed another centre-back, but he's going to go in the summer. Pure profit. So all of these things that's happening at the football club, you have to ask yourself, question yourself, what's the ultimate gain or goal from these owners? What is it they want from the football club? Roman Abramovich said it right. I don't see it as a business. I see it as I'm a fan. Roman Abramovich used to sit in the stands at Stamford Bridge. He used to sit with the fans. He used to sit with the fans at Stamford Bridge. He wasn't up in the boxes, in the director's box. He was with the fans. He would sit with the fans at the game. He was a fan. He didn't just turn up when things were going a bit good. He wasn't there just to make money. He wanted to. He wrote debts off. He wrote. Listen, I talk sport really ruffled my feathers last week because, they went on there to try and paint Roman Abramovich in his bad light, and Roman Abramovich is probably one of the best things that happened to Chelsea Football Club. One of the best things that happened. He's one of the best things. If you're a Chelsea fan, there's 80% chance, unless you're older than me, there's an 85, maybe even 90% chance some of your best reasons on why you support Chelsea Football Club is because of Roman Abramovich and what he done for the club, who he brought into the club. What did he do for the Chelsea Football Club? That's something that even now when you look back on it, you can't even put a price on what he done at this football club. You can't even put a price on what this guy done for the football club. He brought everything that he needed to this football club. He brought the right people at the top. Cobham, you look at Cobham, what he done to Cobham, the training facilities that he's built. why he left. Think about what he left at the football club. Some of the things that he sanctioned and signed off, and even when things weren't going well, he still managed to put money into the club and do the right thing. He had the right people at the top. We had the right managers at the time. We had Ancelotti, we've had Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho. We've had some of the best managers in world football at our football club. Now compare that to Todd Bowley and co. We've had Graham Potter. We've had Maurizio Pochettino. Let's call Frank Lampard in there as well. And now we've got Enzo Maresca. All mid-table, mediocre managers that might get you a top 10, might push you into the Europa League if you're lucky, but they're not going to win you the Premier League. Think about it. Maresca's never going to win the Premier League with us. And I think that's why he downplayed it in December, why we were never going to win the league, because why would you want to win? How is he going to win the league? A manager that has never won the Premier League, never won a Champions League, never beaten Real Madrid, I don't think. Never beaten a Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, AC Milan. Graham Potter was mesmerised he was in the Champions League. If you think back to the games, he was like, oh, I can't believe I'm in the Champions League. And to credit Graham Potter, I mean, he gave us some really good Champions League nights, but he was never going to win us the Champions League. We went from Antonio Conte, Carlo Ancelotti, Jose Mourinho. I'd even throw Frank Lampard's name in there. Frank Lampard got us top 4 with a transfer ban. He couldn't sign any players. He had to integrate Tammy Abraham, had to integrate Mason Mount into the squad, and he got us Champions League football. There's no excuses for Maresca. But what I'm trying to say is, if you look at the owner and the intentions from Roman Abramovich, there was so much, there's night and day. It is night and day. Night and day. And when you go on like TalkSport and you see Jim White and all those idiots talking about Roman in a bad light, you just got to think, what is the ulterior motive here from some of these people? What was the ulterior motive from the government to get rid of someone that was pumping money into the UK economy? It's bigger than football. They brought in these American owners, and another thing I want to point out is tonight protest is not about being negative to anyone who's American or any other race, religion, nationality. It's not about that. And I don't want to, I don't want to see any of that tonight. I think this has to be a protest, like I said at the start of this, to get the message across really, really clear in those protests. They have to be clear. Because the moment that they start becoming a negative thing and the press get wind of that, that's all you're going to see in the papers tomorrow. That's all that TalkSport will be talking about. They'll all be talking about the negativity side of things and not the positives. And you can there's loads of different reasons why you can protest. It's not just because you want to get rid of the sporting directors. There's so many different angles. But the ultimate thing is everyone wants the same thing. They want Chelsea to be a top competitive side again. We all want Chelsea to be back to where we were. You can't dominate the Premier League and dominate European football and compete in the Champions League for so long to then become this team that just looks very sort of wishy-washy and just there's nothing about us. You can't spend this much money and have nothing to show for it apart from selling on our clear assets. Selling out the assets of the club to themselves to then make profit on that as well in a couple of years. Because that's what these owners are trying to do. They're splitting down, I keep saying that they're splitting down things brick by brick at this football club. Everything that we currently had under Roman Abramovich has now been split into small fractions, little different entities, subsidiaries as well. All of those things, it's all been broken down now. Even down to things like under the bridge. So everything's become its own tiny little asset. And if they need to sell one of those things off to somewhere else or to sell it off to themselves again and create some sort of loophole, they will do that. We used to joke and say that they were loophole FC. Well, we are. This is what we do. But is it right? No way. Not at all. Not at all. Another thing to protest about for me personally is the ticketing. I think Vivid Seats was a big thing for a lot of Chelsea fans. I think the fact when you've got your owner of your football club and he's on a board of directors where on a company that is allowing for touting, it's allowing touting. It's got tickets on there. Chelsea tickets are on there right now for 500, 2,000, 5,000 pounds. That's the owner of our football club who's making money off that, who takes 20 million a year as a salary at a football club that he currently owns. That's the man that is making sure that tourists are sitting in Stamford Bridge and regular people like me, regular people like other people that want to go to games, Chelsea fans can't go to games because tourists have taken their tickets and they've paid the £500 on Vivid Seats. Some of the tickets that are available on Vivid Seats aren't even available right now to members on the official Chelsea website, but they're on Vivid Seats. Now, if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. But look, the protests tonight have to be peaceful. They have to be meaningful. Like I keep saying, let's not make them a negative protest. Let's not make them where the press can flip it round and use it as a typical Chelsea fan narrative. That's all I'm going to say on that. That's all I'm going to say on a protest. Let's make it matter. And one thing I will say, it can't be a protest and then that's it. It can't be one protest and then everyone just carries on going to games and moans about the matches. If we're serious about this has to be a regular thing. And even if you can't make tonight's protest, but you can make the protest after or the one after that, then make sure you go to them. Because if you're serious about the protest, this can't just be a one-off, we're doing it today or tonight, and then next week, when we play Copenhagen and we win, it's all right again. Or if Victor Osimhen comes through the door in the summer, or Victor Gyökeres comes in the door in the summer, it's all right again. We can't just allow them to bamboozle us with a new signing or with a good result. 5-0 tonight against Southampton. No, the protests still matter. The results should be happening on the pitch anyway. We should be beating Southampton 5-0. Those things should be happening at this football club. So we can't be just doing it tonight, but then next weekend, there's no match for us, so we won't do it. No, let's do it every game now. Let's start leaving our tickets and not buying them. Let's start hurting these owners in the pockets, because if we don't, they've won anyway. If you carry on buying merchandise and buying all these other things, they've won anyway. They don't. Why would they care if you're protesting, but you're still buying the new kit when it comes out, or you're flying over to here, there, and everywhere to buy more merchandise, get match day tickets, programs. You're buying the beer in the stadium. You're just feeding into the nonsense that they want you to feed into. So, and of course, people want to go to the matches. Everyone wants to go to the match, but let's make sure that the owners have as fans, our best interest first. Not the money, not the business that they want to try and generate as millions of pounds from. The fans come first. Without the fans, there ain't no football at Chelsea Football Club. There ain't no, if there's no fans and we start hurting their pockets, I guarantee you, because it's happening already. If you go on The Athletic today, there's an article about Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, how they helped the women's team. And we know that's nonsense. Paul Green is the reason why Chelsea Women's Football Club is where it is now. Not Paul Winstanley, not Lawrence Stewart. No. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, because all this sort of narrative that's coming out now, even the fact that Wesley Fofana's now fully fit, apparently. He somehow has some magic spray on his legs. He's fully fit again. All these little things that the club are doing. Even the kits. I told you, the New Year's kit that came out, the Chinese New Year, they brought out another training top straight after that. All of those things are tiny little things that they're doing every now and again to make you believe that things are okay at Chelsea Football Club. The fact that Fofana's back now, everyone's going to be, oh yeah, great, Fofana's back. Don't feed into it, because all that's doing is showing you tiny little snippets of what they're trying to manipulate into this football club and the fans. And fans now are not stupid. Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United, they're all going for the same thing. And if you speak to any of their fan bases, they'll tell you, especially Manchester United fans, they're the ones that I honestly, when I listen to their fans, I tap in and listen to them because they're actually talking a lot of common sense. They're making people on £40,000, just an average person, the 9 to 5 people that work at Manchester United, they're making them redundant. And the people at the top are the ones skimming off the top of the money. They're the ones collecting all the big bucks. But it's the people at the very bottom, the people that the heart and soul of Manchester United Football Club, the ones that make the club tick over day by day, they're the ones that are being penalised. And in 5 or 6 years, if this continues the way we are, in terms of the way that our club is being run, we're going to be in the same situation as Manchester United. We'll be in the same boat as Manchester United. We'll be in the same exact position where we're buying useless players that don't fit what we're trying to do. We'll have a continued circus and cycle of manager rotation. And it won't be your top managers. It won't be, because top managers will look at our club. And you can see already, this is why Christopher Bovil didn't join as a sporting director. This is why Nagelsmann walked away. This is why Luis Enrique walked away. Because top managers are looking at Chelsea and thinking, this is crazy. This is nonsense. This is why Maurizio Pochettino wasn't too bothered, I don't think, about even leaving the football club. I think part of me thinks he actually wanted to leave the football club. He just thought, this is a circus. This is nonsense. I don't want to be here. So we have to honestly look, the protest, it might not be for everyone. It might not be a thing where, everyone agrees with it. But what I think it should be is that if you don't agree with it, then you don't have to. I don't think anyone's telling everyone to agree with the protest. But those who do want to protest should be able to protest and give their reasons and their views as to why they're doing it as well. Not everyone wants to protest. Some people want to go into the ground and some people want to watch the games and enjoy it. And that's all right. There's no problem with that. But there are people that want to protest, and there are people that want to have their views, their voices heard, because they're not happy with the day-to-day running, the robbery, which some people call it as a robbery, of how Chelsea Football Club was under Roman and how it is now under Blueco. And there's nothing wrong with that either. And you could be in the middle. You could still want to go to matches and still be annoyed at what Blueco are doing. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think my point of what I'm trying to say is, let's not allow narratives from the media and other outside talk sports to divide the Chelsea fan base. Because like I said 10 minutes ago, we all want the same thing. We all want to win trophies. We all want to see our team lift the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League, whatever it is. We all want to see top signings back at Chelsea Football Club and not sub-low goalkeepers. We all want to see a top striker come through the front doors at Chelsea and Cobham. We all want the same goal. So whether you go to matches, whether you don't go to matches, whether you're not even in the UK and you're a Chelsea fan that's in America, Africa, wherever, we all want the same thing. We all want to see Chelsea go back to where they were. And that's competing. We should be pushing Liverpool for the Premier League. We should be taking them to the final day of the season. We should be lifting Champions League trophies. We should be doing all of those things after 1.6 billion. And I'll ask this question before I wrap up. If in the space of 3 years, 1.6 billion pounds was spent under Roman Abramovich, just think about the type of players that would come through those doors. Would it have been a Robert Sanchez, a Caleb Wiley? I don't think it would. It wouldn't have been those players. Would it have been Axel Disasi, Benoit Badiashile? If Roman Abramovich was spending 1.6 billion in the space of 3 years at his football club, would we not have had Osimhen or Victor Gyökeres or Diego Costa or Mamardashvili in goal for us now? Would we not have a top centre-back that he could rely on? Would we not have more than just Nicholas Jackson and Mark Gue as our strikers? These are the questions you've got to ask yourself. Think if Roman Abramovich was still here now and he'd spent 1.6 billion pounds. Just think of the squad. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Who would you see under Roman Abramovich after 1.6 billion spent in the space of the last 3 years? Just imagine what the squad would be like at Chelsea. CFC Realist Blue, these owners need to change their approach because I don't think they will sell. They won't sell. They won't sell. And this is the thing with these owners and the sporting directors, they're happy. Todd Bowley and Ed Barley are not annoyed at Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. They're not annoyed with them because the problem is that that's what they want them to do. They want them to go out, buy young players, bring them to the club, see if they're good enough, increase their value, and sell them on. That's the Brighton model. Now the problem is Brighton aren't competing for the Premier League or the Champions League or the Europa League or the Club World Cup. So their model's great for a team that just wants to make profit and sell players on and make more money and generate more money. That's great. But at Chelsea Football Club, you're expected to compete for the Premier League. So you bringing in 5 different 18-year-olds and only maybe one of them is going to be good enough. There's a chance you might take a loss on 4 of them. There's a chance you might make profit on all 5 of them. But the problem is that doesn't guarantee you that you're going to have someone who's going to be able to start and win you. We haven't got a Mo Salah in the team. We haven't got a Alexander Isak. And that's the worry. So I don't think these owners at all will even care too much about the protest. But I think it's still needed, 100%, because it might give them food for thought. But I don't think it will change the model. It's not going to change results. It's not going to change their approach to what the sporting director. I think they're happy with the sporting directors. But the more we make noise, the more we say we're not happy about it as Chelsea fans. We think something needs to change. We think this has to go in a different direction. We think we need one sporting director. Nothing will change. Until we stop going to the matches and we start thinking of other ways to maybe support Chelsea or whatever, things will not change. But the voices will be heard. And you will get other media outlets start picking this up. Because there's a lot of them are quiet at the moment. There's a lot of media outlets that aren't actually talking about the protest. They'll tell you that Wesley Fofana is back in the team. And they'll tell you that Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley helped with the women's football TV, even though that's a lie. They'll tell you all of that, but they won't tell you that there's a protest happening tonight. Now, read into that what you will, but there has to be change at this football club. A club like Chelsea cannot be there or thereabouts with Brighton. A mid-table. Just can't happen. Realist Blue, but if they wanted more money, winning will get more of that. Yeah, but you see, this is it. So yeah, we do need a goalkeeper, centre-back and a striker, and I agree with you 100%. But the thing is, the way that they've set Chelsea Football Club up, they're always going to generate money. So it doesn't matter about the results. The results is just a bonus. The Champions League money is just an extra added top of the bonus. The way that the club is set up now, they're making money all the time. They're going to make money all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's through prize money, TV money, etc., etc. The way that they've set this football club up, they're going to generate money all the time. So the way that they're doing this is by you saying, by winning, they'll get more of that. They will, but they're already getting it anyway. They're already earning a nice chunk of the money. Our owner's taking 20 million out of the club every year, guaranteed, regardless. So that's 60 million already that he's got in his back pocket just from mismanaging the football club. So they're already going to be generating money. And all these young players that they're bringing through, as I keep saying, they're just going to make money off them and profit off them. The way that they've divided up the whole Chelsea structure from a business model perspective, they're always generating profit. They're always going to generate profit. Now, the TV money, the prize money, all of that, added bonus. Added bonus. But if you look into it, they're always going to generate money at this football club. And that's the problem. That is the massive problem. Massive problem at the football club. But I'm going to end it here. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it again. Keep saying it. We've got to make sure these protests are very, very peaceful. And we can't allow... And there will be idiots down there tonight. There's going to be idiots. But we can't allow those idiots to take over the message and the meaning of these protests. And they have to be meaningful, vocal, but meaningful. But let's not have the nonsense that comes with some protests that we've seen before previously, not Chelsea related, but just in general. We need to make sure that this is not one of those where suddenly Sky Sports want to pick up the news that there's been violence outside Stamford Bridge ahead of kickoff. We want it to be a peaceful protest. So if you're going down, stay safe. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Realist Blue. Appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the videos. All of that good stuff. Let's hope for 3 points. If you haven't already, check out the last video before this one. The podcast, episode 152. Myself and Theo talk about the game tonight. So make sure you check that out before kickoff and all of that good stuff. And until next time, we'll be back soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're out.